Okay, so in this episode we're just going to show you how to replace an inner tube on a bike. So if you've got a puncture or you need to replace the tube or replace the tyre, it's the same theory for all. So if you have a puncture, then you'll need to do this, and I'll just show you how to safely remove your wheel out of the bike. So generally people struggle with the rear wheel mainly, so we're just going to focus on the rear wheel, and the front wheel sort of has the same theory as well. So first of all, you're going to want to raise your saddle up. So it might just be worth, if you've got an Allen key, just to raise your saddle and just make note of where your saddle was before. So first of all, we'll just grab an Allen key, and you can see where the seat clamp was. So if you had like a black saddle or something, you just might want to get a little bit of electrical tape or something just to mark where that seat's been, so you know where to put it after you put it back down out of the stand. So we're working in the rain because we're dedicated to the YouTube. First thing you want to do is you want to get your chain into the smallest ring, and that'll just allow the most amount of room. We'll just shift down. So that's the first step. Next step, on a V brake. So if you had a disc brake, you can just drop it straight out the way, but on a V brake, you will need to disconnect the brake. So you can just pull that arm, release that, and that's your brake released, and that'll just allow enough room for the tyre to miss the brake pads. And then this is a quick release axle, so if you had a bolt through axle, it would just be a matter of undoing the axle and then it would come straight out. But on a quick release axle, you'll just release this lever, pull that down so that's loose. You can undo this nut a couple of times, and then this is what people struggle with, but it's as easy as just pulling this derailleur back, and then that releases the wheel. I find the easiest is just to pull this body out of the way, and then what you're going to want to do is just release the pressure. So this doesn't have a puncture, but it's the same theory. So if you're changing a tyre or if you've got a puncture, then you will need to do this. So this is press the valve, so you do just need to release that valve there. It's raining quite a bit now. And then you've got your lock ring and your valve. You can just pop that in your pocket or something, and then all you want to do is just maybe start with the opposite side of the valve and just push the tyre away from the rim just to break that seal. So flip it over, same again, push that tyre away. You do see people trying to do it before they've done this step, and the tyre is just so tight that you're just never going to get it. So work that tyre around the whole way, and that just allows the tyre bead to be in the centre. And then you can use a tyre lever, so 2 might be easier. What I tend to do is work opposite side of the valve, pull the tyre to the side, and that just allows the inner tube to get out of the way of the rim. Get the tyre lever, hook it under, and then what you can do is you can just hook that there. And then I do have another one, so you can just do the same, hook that under, pull that, and then once you've got enough room, just slide it, push it away from you, slide it, and then once you've got enough there, you can just hook your fingers under, pull it all the way around, and that's one side of your tyre off. And then what I would do is just reach underneath, get your inner tube, work your way around, pull it out until you get back to your valve, push the valve up, get that out of the way, and that's your tube. And then if you did have a puncture or your tyre kept going down, what you can do is just pop your tyre off, place your wheel somewhere, and then what I would do is just put your hand in, so use a couple of fingers and just run it along the inside. And if you've got a little bit of glass or a thorn in there, you will be able to feel it. So just be careful because you don't want to slice your finger or anything. But you would just run your hand round the tyre a couple of times. Once you've done that, you can then run it from the inside to the out and just make sure that there's nothing, and just give it a visual check on the outside. And then once you've checked your tyre and you're happy that there's nothing in there, just check that your rim is okay. So you've got this rim strip in here, or rim tape, and that is to cover the spoke holes and stop it pinching the tube. So just make sure that that's seated nicely and evenly on here, and then also check this rim and make sure there's no nicks or gouges or anything like that. And once you're happy with that, you'll probably just be changing out your tube for a brand new one. Okay, so once you've got your new tube, the tubes generally come quite flat, or they'll be completely flat and sandwiched together. So you want to get a little bit of air in the tube before you start. So just get your pump and just blow it up so there's a a little bit of a profile there. So it's not super hard, but it's not flat, and that'll just stop it from getting pinched. So once you've done that, you can then just hang up your tube, a little bit of air in it, and then you'll get your wheel and your tyre. And you just want to note that tyres are directional, so there'll be an arrow on here with a rotation. You want the arrow to be facing forward, so the rotation is the way that the wheel's spinning. So if you have a look around your wheel, so straight away I can see here that you've got an arrow for rotation, so that needs to be facing the front. So I would get the arrow with the rotation facing forward. Then I also have my wheel, the way it's going to go in. So you're always going to have your cassette, or you might call it your freewheel, or your cogs on the right hand side. If you had a disc, it's always on the left. So just one way to note is always have your cassette to the right of you, and you know that's in the right direction then. So cassette's on my right, and my tyre has the rotation arrow facing forwards. And then what I like to do is just match up the branding with the valve hole. So get the tyre, get the wheel, and just push the rim into the tyre, and just work it around, pull it over, and then that's the tyre on one side. Spin it around, get the tube with the valve, go back to the valve hole, we'll see, make sure your branding is matching up, get the valve, pull this over, push the valve through, get this gap here, pull that over the top, and then just run this tube in. So you're just pushing that in all the way around. Don't use any tools at this point. Okay, so that's the tube into the tyre all the way around, and then I would start at the valve. So I would just push in, try and get that bead in. You can just push this valve up a little bit just to create some gap, and just work your way around, push in, and ideally, if you don't need to use a tool, don't use the tool, and I can just work my way around, push the tyre into the centre of the rim, and then, right, there we are, I haven't used a tool. So if you can avoid using the tool, that might just save you from pinching your tyre. So generally when people pinch the tube, it's from using a tyre lever or a spoon or a knife or something like that, and it just pinches the tyre. So if you can, if your tyre is loose enough, just to push it on by hand, and if it doesn't, then just make sure the tyre is in the centre. So you'll notice the centre is the deepest part, so that's going to allow your tyre to have the most amount of slack. So once your tyre's on, you're happy with that, put the wheel on the floor, make sure you've got it on the press to set, and then your valve is undone. Push on your tyre so the valve doesn't come up. And then generally a tyre like this would be about 50 psi, but you can just go up to 10 or 20 psi, and then just make sure that the tyre is seated and it's not bulging anywhere, because the worst thing you want to do is just pump it up when you've got a bulge and then the tyre blow up before you even got it on. So you know that's on. We'll go up to 50 psi, put your pump to one side, and then get your valve cap and lock ring. So lock ring on first, and that is the wheel done. So putting the wheel back in, you're going to want to offer it up, pull this part of the cage down, get your wheel in there, and then if you can just locate your chain onto the cogs and just pull it up, pull it back into the dropout and pull up to make sure that the axle is fully in. And then what I do is just rest my leg in there as I'm doing this lock ring up, pull on there, and then do your lever up. So that's the wheel in. We can just double check that once the bike's on the floor just to make sure it's fully in. Then pull your brake in, reconnect, and that is the tyre done, and that's taken about 5 minutes. So yeah, the same theory goes for if you're changing just your tyre. So if you're changing the tyre out, you'd use the same method, and then obviously if you've got a puncture, you'll be changing the tube or repairing the tube, but just make sure you're checking the inside of the tyre for any thorns or glass or anything like that. So just check your tyre as well, as if it's worn down to the canvas, you'll see that showing through. So if your tyre is wearing thin, then that might be a reason why you're getting punctures, because there's not enough rubber to protect any thorns or anything like that. So yeah, that's the inner tube replaced, and it's as easy as that. So if you like that video and you found it useful, then give us a thumbs up. If you wanted to see like how to repair an inner tube, I don't think people do that too much now. So inner tubes are quite cheap and it's probably the most guaranteed method. But if you were interested to see how to repair an inner tube with a patch, then yeah, just let me know if that's something that would be of interest. Other than that, in the future, we probably will do like tubeless setup. So there are different systems. So tubeless tires are quite popular now. So if you're interested to see like how to set up a tubeless tire from start to finish, then yeah, let me know if that's something you wanted to see. But keeping it quite basic maintenance at the moment. So this one was just replacing your inner tube or your tire. And yeah, I hope you liked that one and I hope you found it useful. Stick around, and if you haven't already, then please like and subscribe my videos. Thank you. We'll see you in the next one.